Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the podcast. This week, I was given the wonderful opportunity to be able to meet Tanya from The Girl Who Simplifies, and her business is really, really interesting, so I'm not going to spoil a lot of it, but we got into marketing, we got into some psychology bits, we got into a lot of different interesting little topics, and that's why I like to, not go in with any preconceived understandings or preconceived knowledge when we do these interviews, because it really, really, I find anyway, gets a better interview. So if you did enjoy this and would like to see more, make sure to be subscribed to the channel. I'd love what you think in the comment section down below, and if you would like to hear more from myself or Tanya, then make sure to be subscribed, as I'm sure she'll be back in content sooner rather than later, and I'll see you very, very soon.
So my name's Tanya Slater and I'm based in Frome in Somerset here in the UK, and my business is called The Girl Who Simplified, and it's basically a collection of all the things that I have done over the last 10 years, simplified my life, learned a lot, failed, made a load of mistakes, and basically brought myself back from a pretty rough mental health place where I was single with a young toddler and a baby and considering taking my own life, to now having a successful business. And one of the massive parts of that story and that journey, and why I now help other people simplify their lives in lots of different ways, which I can go into in a bit, is because it was just so simple. Like, it's not easy, but it's simple. And we are just so over-consumed and over everything. We just got too much stuff going on. And I think people struggle, they're overwhelmed, they struggle to focus and all of those things. I paid thousands over the years for therapies, counseling, talking, all sorts of things, and nothing was as positively impactful as clearing out the excess in my life and getting more focus, more peace, more calm. And so that's kind of what I do. And I had to pivot that a little bit when COVID came along. Wasn't allowed to go to people's houses and actually help them do it, so now I do it online as well, so locally and globally. But that's me in a nutshell. Yeah,
Fantastic. All sounds very exciting, and nothing I understand entirely, which is going to make this interview extremely exciting, because I get to ask all the probing questions in the world, because I have no idea what it I mean, that was going to be my first question. Is it like a interior design, simplifying your house perspective? Is it like your mind? Is it your stresses? Is it your commitments? Like, what, when you say simplify, what do you mean? Right, okay. So can we unpack that a little bit, because I'm like
yeah, totally. So it's a journey. As I said, I've been doing this for a decade now, and it was, it came subconsciously. Basically, I was going to some counseling sessions. They were usually like go and cry your eyes out for an hour just to get the week's kind of stress out. And there was one particular day that I went about a decade ago, and the lady said, you seem different. You seem brighter. What have you been doing, Tanya? I was like, oh, I've been doing a bit of decluttering. And she said something in that moment. She said, it sounds like you've been clearing out old energy. And that really stuck with me and really resonated. Rough time, car crash of a life before me. And it was like I was doing a simple thing, an act of sorting my home out. I was there with my baby and my toddler on my own. Wasn't the plan. And I was starting to like just get rid and clear. And the more I got rid of, the lighter and brighter and healthier I felt. And I, just like a curious child, went, oh, okay. After a couple of years of doing this and realizing how powerful just clearing out one's possessions and sorting your environment could be, I was like, I wonder what else I could do. So then I started looking at something called the Wheel of Life. It's a coaching tool used globally, amazing little tool. But I used it slightly differently. And I looked at it and I thought, well, I've decluttered my home. Perhaps I could declutter the rest of my life. So I went round meticulously the Wheel of Life. You've got things on there like your finances. I went through everything with a fine tooth comb. What's excess? What are all those things in my bank account that I have no idea what I'm paying for? And I've probably paid for them for like 10, 15 years. Subscriptions, 3 quid, 10 quid. All of the things like that. People, that was a hard one. Got to people realizing and acknowledging and accepting that we change, we grow, and not everybody's supposed to stay forever, and it's okay to step back from people. So I kind of weeded, I call it, is my gentle way of calling it. And you can do it really quietly and really respectfully without, the usual. I've seen people go, I'm having a cull on Facebook and good luck if you make the cut. Or I was like, oh my god, no. There's a polite, respectful way to do it, but for your own self. And so I kind of went on that journey. And then I started actually helping people in their homes. I thought the home is where it starts, the environment. And I know that a lot of your listeners are business owners, just like you and I. And the overwhelm, it spills into every part of your life. If your home is like, and don't get me wrong, I need to put like a caveat here, this isn't everybody. Some people thrive in hectic, busy, cluttered environments, and I acknowledge that. But the people that I work with don't. They struggle to maintain focus. They, from the minute you get up, if you imagine, which was my house many times, and I'm sure as many people, is like just trying to navigate to the bathroom in the morning, and you can see piles of clothes and bits of things that need putting away. Like your senses and your brain is firing straight away. The difference, getting up in a clear space, a room with intention that feels clear, being able to wake up slowly and walk through that room and start your day like that, it has such a knock-on effect. So I teach people basically the importance of having a really clear, intentional environment and not living kind of on autopilot. And it's often just a few questions that people need to answer to actually think, well, what's the purpose of my home? What's the purpose of this room? That we don't normally actually ask. We just buy a house or rent a house, move all our stuff in, fit it where we can, and get on with life. We don't necessarily think with that intention. And I do that as courses and one-to-one. But after doing the courses a few months through the pandemic, I did have somebody at the end of the course go, okay, right, what's next, Tanya? I was like, oh God, I don't have what's next. What is next? I thought, well, what did I do? What was next? I did my home. That was one bit that set me up. That was like the foundation that the rest of my life could sit on. And I thought, yeah, well, I went on and I went to sort all my other stuff out. And so I created a membership. So I have my home clearing club, which is like where we do the home and sort that out. And it's way more than decluttering. Like people come to clear their houses out, but what they get along the way, it's like teaches you to set boundaries, healthy boundaries around yourself. It teaches you to find your voice with the rest of the family, the rest of the household, and go, actually, do you know what? This is how I want it. And this is how we're going to do it. And this is why. Aids communication, builds relationships, teaches you to be able to let go. We're like the only species on the planet that doesn't get this cyclic living. Everything lives in cycles. We live in cycles, the moon, nature, plants shed their leaves, all the rest of it. Human beings seem to be the only ones who have a real issue with letting go. We just like, give me some more, give me some more. And we hold on. And there seems to be a breaking point. I've noticed people that come to me is around about 40. It's normally women because they feel like the responsibility mainly of the home, running businesses and just going, I've had enough. I can't move. I can't think. Kids bring loads of stuff. Partners bring loads of stuff. So we do that. And then if people want to and they go forward, then we do the life clearing. And that's, just replica of what I did, going through that wheel of life and teaching people how to quietly, intentionally declutter loads of bits and pieces. So yeah, sorry, it's really long-winded. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's really important, I think, sometimes when we explain what we do to sometimes go into the more depth of it, right? Because otherwise we may get preconceived understandings or preconceived ideas on what one does, right? Which I think is important to establish. And whenever we talk about it in marketing, we talk about it in layman's terms, which is exactly what you did just there, so anyone can understand it. Because a lot of the mistakes we see in marketing sometimes is people go in with expecting people who are going to consume the content or assume what they're trying to talk about understand what it is that we're talking about, right? But most of the time people don't. So by decluttering the language, then you can really get to the core reason of why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and how it's valuable to your consumer. And I think it's really interesting that you talked about, decluttering your life, so to speak, and setting those helpful boundaries, and being able to showcase that actually by you stepping back doesn't mean you're a bad friend, doesn't mean, in my personal experience, doesn't mean you're a bad friend, doesn't mean you're a bad father, doesn't mean you're a bad son, doesn't mean you're a bad, etc. All it means is you've got your own time. And then when you are going to give your friend, your family, your mother, your partner, your what, etc., the time, you're then present with them, because that's scheduled time in your own head that you've done to say, I want to spend time with this person. But also what it finds is you actually get healthier relationships, because I can't remember who said the same, but it's something along the lines of basically absence makes the heart fonder, right? Now normally we talk about romantic relationships here, but it can also be in any relationship, right? You can if you don't talk to a friend of yours for 2 months, you're going to really want to talk to that friend. So when you get the opportunity to then meet that friend up for coffee and catch up, etc., you can have the connection. And some of the best friendships are as if when you do meet up after 2 months, it's as if no time's passed.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also one of the reasons why it improves relationships so much it's a kind of double thing, but is time. So time is like the most precious resource we have because we don't know how much we have of it. And through this journey, I've learned like I no longer buy physical gifts for people. I offer to take them for lunch. I'll take them out for the day because I genuinely believe that if someone offers to spend their time with you, then you mean a lot to them. And so many of the people that I speak to feel so time poor. And yet they will pour their time and their energy into things that don't matter, like storing and tidying and cleaning their homes. Like it's insane how much time a home full of stuff actually takes from you. But then also with the likes of people, it's incredible how you might be in a job, maybe in a career for 10 or 15 years, and you get used to going on a Friday afternoon after work for a pint or whatever. Then there'll be like some social things that you've done for so long that you just carry on doing them. And this is where it comes back to this intention and actually just hitting the pause button for a minute and going, does that serve me now? Is that is that supporting what I'm working towards in my life now? Or, and you have to let go, in my eyes and my opinion, you have to let go of things and you have to make space for new stuff to come in. If you're looking for new opportunities and stuff, like there was a period in my decluttering journey, especially going around the wheel of life, where I realized and accepted, I think I'm going to have to go through a bit of a period of isolation here. Not loneliness, just accept that, you know what, none of those people, because I'd got to quite a bad mental health point, none of those people, I didn't feel bad for them, but they weren't supporting me now. They were holding me back, holding me in that past. They say misery loves company. Unfortunately, it does, and to step out, I needed to step away from those people. Made that space. I must have spent a good 6 or 7 months really not talking to many people at all. Then when I got quite clear, because I gained clarity in that kind of peace and having that time on what I wanted to do, I'm very much about the law of attraction, very woohoo. I had in my head, well, I need to be meeting these kind of people now because I want to grow my business and do all these sorts of things. Lo and behold, I had the space and they appeared and they come because I'm clear now on who it is that I need to kind of support me. So yeah, it's a fascinating journey. I love watching it. I love people just like, when people come on the beginning of my course, I'd hold them as Zoom things now because of pandemic. But they're kind of like drained, and you see the body language, and many people use the word, it feels like a weight. My stuff feels heavy, like I'm carrying these big bags around. And literally 2 or 3 weeks in of clearing, just with a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for, process behind it, so it's not just clearing out, because it always comes back. If you just get rid, it comes back. There's no thought to it. A little bit of intention. I start to see people like sitting taller, smiling, beaming, their energy, and I genuinely feel lighter. It's just, sorry, I'm passionate about it because it's just amazing, and it has a knock-on effect to everything, especially business owners and your confidence in putting yourself out there and all the rest of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think it's one of those things. I was coaching a business owner we work with very closely yesterday, and we were talking about her emotional state is very, very important to her business growth, because as a business owner, especially if you're a service provider, like both of us are, your personality, you as a person, you become the product, right? So what happens is your emotional intelligence and your emotional wants and your emotional core goes into your business and goes together, because you can't, building a little bit off, I go to the pub every Friday, blah, blah, blah. That's a habit, right? That becomes a ritual. Now, I'm really glad that you mentioned, does that ritual serve you? Because a lot of what we talk about as well is what habits and rituals are you putting in place that allow you to work when you're not motivated? Because anyone can work when they're motivated. Right? If I wake up and I go, yes, I'm ready for today, let's go, we're going to have a great day, etc., then I'm going to work really, really hard because I'm motivated. But what about the day where I wake up and I go, it's raining, I don't want to go, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do anything, my bed's comfortable, it's warm, and outside is none of the above. So how do you build strategies? How do you build habits? And how do you build a level of discipline to allow you? Because I imagine in your role as well, there's been a lot of stages where you actually ask yourself, especially, I mean, for me personally, at the start of the pandemic, I asked myself, firstly, do I want to do what I'm doing? Right? I think a lot of people use the pandemic, or was able to use the pandemic as a reset point. It was like, what am I doing? Am I doing what I want to do? And if so, okay, how do I now navigate this market? How do I now navigate the world? And in some cases, that means actually resetting everything. All of your friends, all of your family, all of your connections with everyone, to then see who's going to give you time. Because as you very, very well talked about, time is the one resource that people with millions of pounds and people with no money have the same amount of, right? And when I tell people this, they're like, yeah, but that's the thing. Money comes and goes. Influence and attention comes and goes. But time is the one resource that every human being only has a minute time of. So if I'm giving you my time, that's more valuable than I'm giving you money. Because money is just, I have a valuable skill that is going to save you time, or that you can't currently do. So you're going to pay me to do it. Okay? That's basically money. Time, and that kind of has to have a part of time involved in it, because you have to spend time on especially working on content, etc., etc. But most of the reason why we'll pay someone to do something is because they can do it faster than us. They can do it better than us, which in turn means saves us time. If you talk to busy business owners and you talk to people who are doing a lot and trying to achieve a lot, the one caveat they'll always say is, I never have enough time. They'll never say, I never have enough money, because they understand that maybe right this moment they don't have enough money to do what they want to do. But they know that as long as you have positive cash flow every month, you'll eventually get to the point where you have enough money. That's not the issue, because money can buy you time, right? But you only have 24 hours in a day, and I'd recommend sleeping 8 of them, which means you only have 16, right? So how are you going to use those 16? And this is different, and this is why I say to people, don't use me as a yardstick. I commit a lot of my time to my job right now, but that's because I've set my priorities in the perspective I'm trying to build my career in my 20s deliberately, because I have the energy to build my career in my 20s. So then when I'm in my 30s and 40s, I don't need to work as hard, because I've done a lot of the legwork already. But what I'm making is the sacrifices personally now for my own personal life and having a work-life balance, so to speak, because I want that. I want to be able to then not have to worry as much about where my career is, to be able to business that I can basically self-fund myself from and be able to still get a lot of fulfillment and passion from when I'm in my 30s and 40s and 50s. I mean, how did you, let me circle back to the initial question. How do you, if you have built habits to allow, because I imagine there's also days where you wake up and go, I don't want to do this. I genuinely just don't. It's not because you don't love it, not because you don't want to do it. It's just because you've done it and too much, and you don't necessarily, sometimes it takes a momentum kick to actually get to the point where you're like, actually, yeah, today was really good. I had one yesterday. I woke up, didn't really want to do it. I did it anyway. Actually turned out to be a really good day. But if I had never actually made the point of me pushing forward into doing it anyway, I would never been in the position where I could have actually done it, and I did it anyway, and I got all those good results from the day. So how did you if you do, how have you developed the level of discipline, or how have you developed the habits that allow you to still work when you really don't feel motivated?
Yeah, I don't necessarily suffer from ever a lack of motivation for doing what I do, because it's been such a journey to get here, and I now see the huge positive impact that what I teach people has on people's lives. Like, anything surrounded by this business and surrounded by that work, I just love doing. The challenge that I have, which I have had to put certain things in place, is that 99% I am undiagnosed ADD or ADHD, going through the process of being assessed now. What that brings is a real struggle to be consistent, which is kind of the same sort of thing that I need to work out. And so I talking about strategies and things. So a short while ago, just after the pandemic started, and I decided that I'm going to do courses online and things like that. I sat down and I just thought about what was involved and went, holy what? Like, I can't do this on my own. So that was the first thing, just acknowledging and accepting I can't build this on my own. I'm going to have to get people that can do certain things. I found an absolute gem of a person who does lots of strategy. She's an engineer. So she kind of like saw all the bits and pieces. I'm the creative, come up with the ideas. And she kind of went, let me brain dump and then put it into this like picture of what was possible. I'm like, okay. So yeah, being able to let go of certain aspects when you've been working so hard on something, it's kind of like your baby, isn't it? And yeah, to especially things like social media, to let somebody else kind of do that for you, that for me was massive. However, I knew I hit a gem when I started getting notifications at the end of last year saying so and so's commented on your post. And I'd be like, oh, I read it. When did I post that? Like, this person had my voice to a T that I was questioning when I actually wrote that post because it was so me. And so I was like, okay, this is really valuable because, and I think this is the key to what I now do is I look at tasks. And because of the way that my brain works, I get incredibly overwhelmed very quickly, which is another reason. As I sit back, I think, do you know what? I think this is where the whole business came from. The way my brain works, I need things to be clear to be able to focus. There's like 300 radio stations going on in my head all at the same time. So, any extra noise is not welcome. And I have to sift through all of that stuff. But this lady was saying to me, like, lives, you need to be doing lives and stories and all the rest of it. And I was exactly like you just described on those motivated days, that I would do it and I'd be there and all the rest of it. But it's not so much a motivation thing for me. It's then the novelty kind of wears off. And I understand this about an ADHD brain. It's like, yeah, it's all new ideas, fresh. You need that kind of hit of dopamine. It's a novelty. And once it becomes a bit of a habit, which is what consistency is in your business, then it's kind of like a bit boring. But it's not the business, it's just that element of things. And I just sat back a couple of months ago and went, do you know what? Social media is not, I can't do it. I can't show up consistently. So, okay, what's another solution? And I think the real key is that I've been plugging away at this business for years now. And I know that what I do really helps people, but it is the marketing, it is the sales, it is getting that message out there and finding a way to do it that is going to make it, become that lucrative business and do what I wish you're doing now that I wish I'd done 20 years ago. Well done, hats off to you, kind of thing. But I'm here and I'm doing it. And yeah, I think going around in kind of gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I think for me, just really recognizing what is worth your energy and your time and what isn't. And like you were saying about the time and the money and the payoff, like I used to, when I first started working in this business and trying to get help, I would see the figure that people wanted to charge me. I wouldn't see the value. And now with experience of trying to grow this business, I see, okay, what does it take for me to do 3 stories in a week on Instagram? Well, it distracts me for at least an hour every time I try and put it up. Then I redo it. Then I question what I'm doing. Then I look at everybody else. And that has a knock-on effect to my confidence. And that has a knock-on effect to my productivity. And like, this is my brain going. But it does. Like, that one act is not me. It's not valuable. But my God, is it valuable to get somebody else to do that? Because then I'm freed up to do other things and stuff. So yeah, acknowledging that you can't do everything, I think, is a massive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I've got kind of 2 points here that I'll add on. I mean, for me, it's that control factor, I think, for me. For a long time, I was like, no, I have to shoot, I have to edit, I have to do everything because it's my business and I have to do everything. But then I made a transition halfway through 2020 and was like, no, actually, this is not a high value activity for me personally to do. And there's a big difference between it's not high valuable to the business and it's not high value for you specifically to do in the business, right? And we talk about this a lot. So, for example, I don't even edit this podcast anymore, right? I'll give you a very clear example. That's not because the podcast is not high valuable to the business. It's extremely valuable to the business. But me editing it is not valuable for me, right? So I can utilize the time I would spend editing this podcast to do other activities that are high value activities for me, that I get a lot of haptic feedback from, and I get a lot of fulfillment from, and I get a lot of enjoyment from, which is great for me. But also, from the business's bottom line, it also normally means we make more money as a business. Therefore, actually, the money I'm paying out to get my podcast edited is actually then an expense of the business to allow me to then make more money by bringing in more work, which in turn means then everyone wins because everyone's getting paid more, right? Because then the business is more successful, right? So that's the first half. The second half is what you were kind of talking about when you were talking about the consistency aspect on social media and getting the people. The thing is with social media is you need to be consistent. You need to have the messaging right. There's so much work. People think, oh, social media is easy. It is to start. To do it so it could actually generate you revenue, and it's always could. It never is a guaranteed thing, right? And if anyone tells you it's a guaranteed thing, then honestly don't buy from them, because they're not going to be able to guarantee it. You can't, because you cannot guarantee social media. What you can guarantee is awareness on social media, visibility on social media. What you can't guarantee is whether you're going to make more money or not, because that's not actually down to the marketer. It's down to the salesperson. That might be you, that might be me, but all we do as marketers is we put a load of attention on what you do. Then it's up to you to utilize that attention and know how to leverage it, right? And we can help with that, and there's conversation, there's strategies that you can use with that, of course. But the thing which people sometimes do wrong or sometimes have trouble with is they expect the marketing to magically make them more money overnight. Can marketing make you more money? Yes, of course it can. Do you know how to leverage it and use it as part of your sales strategy? Yes, absolutely. And that's why one of the first conversations we'll have with a new client when we onboard them is, how do you make money? What's the process that you make money? How many touch points do you need for your new client, etc.? How many times does it normally take someone, to just someone who doesn't understand what a touch point is, how many times does it take someone to go from not understanding what you do to then paying you money? How many meetings, how many bits of content, how many things do they need to know to educate themselves or be educated by you on actually being able to convert into a sale, right? Because that's what we're looking at in business, unfortunately. Every business will tell me what's the ideal goal of doing these video campaigns or doing these videos or doing social media or whatever it is. I want to make more money. Okay, but what's the bit under that? Because everyone could say that. Everyone says, I want to make more money. Fantastic. How do you make more money? What's your highest? So it might be, we're going to try and promote more your highest ticket item, whatever that may be, right? So in your case, it might be your course. I have no idea, but it might be your course. So, okay, let's promote the course. Okay, then the question becomes, why is the course valuable, right? And it's this cost over value situation as well as what you were talking about as well. When people start looking at outsourcing, start paying people to do things, they go, how much? Even if it's 5p. Because their brain isn't in the position of, they don't understand how it's valuable and how much value that person or that business or that entity, whatever it is you're paying for, can add to the business, but also how much time it can save you as well, right? Because as we said earlier, every single person, no matter how much money you have, has the same amount of time. Period. We both have the same amount of time. So that's why I really, really respect when anyone gives me their time, whether they are a millionaire or someone just starting out, because both of those people have the same amount of resource in regards to time, right? So they're valuing talking to me on a podcast or having a meeting with me high by giving me time. And the thing is, it needs to be reciprocal, right? A lot of relationships I've found anyway, whether it's personal or business, and again, the lines have been very blurred. We were talking about it this morning in networking about LinkedIn being the future of where content is, and it really becoming a really good platform to put content on. And I'll go into that briefly if you want to in a minute, because it might be valuable for you as well. But the main thing is, like, LinkedIn itself is actually becoming what Facebook was in 2008, right? So in regards to organic growth, in regards to what it's doing, and it wants to become an ad platform, we're already starting to see them experiment with how to use ads on the platform and how to put ads on the platform. But the thing is, they are not at the point yet where they've got enough organic traction and enough organic growth to be in a position where they can just put ads out. The reason why Facebook pulled back how much traction you can get on organic posting is because they wanted you to pay money. They want you, because that's their business model. They want you to serve ads. The reason why they also want video is because video holds people's attention on the platform longer, therefore they can serve more ads to per person, which when you understand that, like people go, oh, the algorithm's changed. The algorithm has been the same for 20 years. Every single algorithm has been identical. Can we get as much attention, as much retention on our platform as humanly possible so we can serve more ads to the per person? That's it. There is nuances. What we're talking about when the algorithm changes is the nuances. At a core reason, why does the algorithm do what it does? That's why. Because every single, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your YouTube, your Google, all they want to do is put ads in front of you. Because that's how they get paid. That's where they make money. They're an ad platform. The reason why Google is the biggest search engine in the world is because it can serve ads at the top. The top 3 search results on every single Google is an ad. Then there were some legal changes where they had to mark them as ads. For a long time, they weren't marked as ads. They were ads, but they weren't marked as ads. Same with Facebook, same with Instagram. I mean, how have you found, is there a misconception in what you found in your industry? I mean, how, because I imagine you've been doing it, as you say, you've been doing it a decade. So has there been like a change in the approach that you would take from a marketing side?
Mine's been very haphazard, I have to say, over the years. And I've always kind of had a bit of a problem with just, that paying. I've paid for ads before and they've never really got me much. I've tried lots of different tack with them and I got very jaded and very kind of, despondent about it when a few people who do Facebook ads and Google ads sort of got out to me that, for this stuff to work and for you to actually get the kind of people you want, you need to be investing thousands. Like she was like, a good $6,000 in Facebook ads is only going to bring you this and this and this. So I have been very vigilant, watched carefully, and most of mine has been organic growth. But yeah, there's still, I think for myself, my particular marketing challenge, and this has been through creating ads, in different ways, is finding, that hook, finding the way that what's going to kind of get people's attention. But here's the thing with what I do. So I am in quite a few decluttering groups, which I kind of shied away from. I was like, no, what I do is way more than decluttering, because it just sounds like not a lot really. But some of these groups have got up to like 175,000 members in there. And what the people are doing is sharing like 5-minute declutter challenges, 10-minute declutter challenges. So the sensible part of me says, well, this is working because this is what people want. This is what they know they want. But then the heart and the passion and the head and the experience of what I do with people is screaming at me going, no, don't do that. You're more than that. That's not what you do. And so trying to get that out in messages, the most effective way that I've found so far has been through client and student testimonials, stories, and videos. I use a platform called Video Ask to capture some of their experiences at the end of the courses. And the verbiage that was used in there is just, so powerful. So I'm now at this place of just going, okay, well, people aren't necessarily going to listen to me because I'm going to tell them that it's brilliant, aren't I? It's my course. But to hear from other people is great. And on that video side of things as well, I totally get that. But to be honest, if I'm completely honest, the marketing side of things baffles me. It does my head in. I get so frustrated. And like, as many business owners and entrepreneurs, I just want to do the thing. Like, I can change people's lives, but I know I need that part of my business to actually be able to pull the people in to change their lives. So it's a whole world. I'm glad I'm having this chat with you, to be honest. I'm learning already.
Exactly. I mean, it's one of those things. A lot of what we talk about there is when you use testimonials and when you have that connection, people are connecting with people, right? Firstly, we talk about that when we talk about you buying from me or me buying from you, right? Business owner to business owner. But also what happens is people want what's known as market proof. So they want to know Barry down the road. They want to know Sarah from up the road. How did they find the bakery, right? Did they like the bread? Did they like the cake? Did they like, etc., right? And what you'll get is you'll get a level of community around it, and you'll get a level of marketing around it. I mean, building off a little bit of what you were discussing about Facebook groups and putting, what we would call a lead gen or a brand awareness kind of in. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and it doesn't necessarily, in my opinion anyway, bring your business down, because what you're doing is you're saying, in this group, people really connect with this thing. Okay, I can offer this thing, and what you're doing is you're introducing them to your brand. You're introducing them to what you do, and then what can happen is you can bring them into what's known as an awareness funnel, which is basically you have awareness at the top, then you have your set of touch points below it. So it could be someone, maybe we connect today, we have an hour conversation, fantastic. So you already kind of know a little bit more about what we do now. I know a little bit more about what you do. Great, fantastic. Then what you might do is you might then look and see, actually, no, Colin seems really interesting. Or you may be interested, may not, and you may go, actually, now I'm going to consume some of his content. So there's another touch point, and people always ask me, what's the difference between content and then how is it valuable, etc. And basically the point is, if you're going to say something and you say something repeatedly in your business, so it could be, this is how we do something, this is why we do something, this is where we started. Why not film it once, then use that video over and over and over again? You should probably revisit it every couple of years so it doesn't look dated, but that's a separate conversation. But then what you're doing is you're saving yourself time. So whenever we think about investing, we're not always necessarily thinking about how much is this valuable to me, right? I mean, I know we touched on it earlier, but if you say spent, I don't know, £1,000 on a video, right? And by no means does that mean you need to spend £1,000 on a video. I'm just using an easy number, right? So say you spent £1,000 on a video, then you need to ask yourself, how many hours of time does that set of videos, or that £1,000, that action of £1,000, actually save me? And then when I can use that time, let's say it saves you 20 hours a month, right? Then what is, in a monetarily value, those 20 hours to you as a business owner? Is it more or less than £1,000? If it becomes more, then it becomes a no-brainer situation where you should do it. If it becomes the same, arguably then, still no-brainer, because if the first month you save £1,000 worth of time, but then the next month we haven't done anything else in the second month, but then you also then you save another £1,000 worth of time in the second month. Okay, you just generated £2,000 worth of time from £1,000. That's the definition of a good investment. So the thing is, and you're absolutely correct when you say ads. We're doing ads specifically. Ads are a tool, but the thing is, with a tool, is you need to sharpen it, right? Like, you wouldn't use a kitchen knife if it's blunt, would you? You would sharpen it, right? So it's the same with ads, it's the same with content, it's the same with strategy, same with anything. You need a good amount of time to start testing things and seeing what works for your business, because what works on my business and what works for your business is going to be very different. Where the demographic is going to be completely different. The language is going to be completely different. Who you're trying to target, who you're trying to talk to, completely different. What we sell, completely different. How we make money, also completely different. So all of these factors combined are going to make marketing our businesses very different. What works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. In respect to, I know that me creating content, talking about what we do repeatedly, and being consistent on social is one of the best things we can do as a marketing agency or as a media company, because it proves the point that we're trying to prove, which is you should be creating content for your business. That's where we profit, but also that's where we can make the most meaningful change in your business, because we can help. And we've had some clients we work with on language, and what we've noticed is they'll change their language in their sales side of it as well, because normally business owners are marketing, sales, logistics, and the practitioner of whatever it is, especially when you start out, which is fine. But what it means is we can work with you on the language that really resonates with your ideal client, and then you'll naturally just use that language in a sales conversation, or what would perceivably as a sales conversation. When I say sales conversation, it's just any conversation that could lead to a sale. It doesn't have to be a pitch. And I think, to be honest, I mean, I'll throw back to you in a moment, but a lot of what I'm actually seeing in the marketing world and in general in sales is people are actually not selling anymore. There's very little, unless you're like buying a tangible product like a car or a house, there's actually not a sales conversation. It's just slowly warmed up to, this is what we do, this is how we can help you, and this is why we're valuable to you. And then it's up to that consumer. It's up to the person. It's up to the business owner. It's up to the person paying the bill to choose. Like, we never say, you should hire us. We should say, this is how we would help you, and we feel we're the right fit for you. But that's not my decision to make. I don't know whether I'm the right fit for you. That's your decision. I will tell you if I feel like we're not the right people, but then all I'll do is I'll refer you to someone else who I feel is the right person. There's nothing wrong with that. And actually, I think let me ask you, would you give a business more credibility if they said, actually, I don't think we're the right person for you, and then they referred you to what they believed was the right person? Whether or not that business actually ended up doing business work with you is irrelevant. It's whether you would actually feel, because a lot of people say, aren't you just like saying no to work?
No. Yeah, absolutely. And I do exactly the same thing. The journey that I take people on it's an emotional one. It's huge. Like going into the deep dark depths of the last 40 or 50 years of someone's life and everything else that surrounds it. And there has to be an energy connection there. I have to feel like that person is going to put the work in because it is work, but that they will feel comfortable with me to open up so that I can actually help them. And if it's not a deep journey that they're looking for like that, then I do, yeah, exactly the same. I know of other people that are like professional organizers and all sorts of things like that. And I signpost them. Yeah, I absolutely value that. I think that's integrity through and through, really, because it doesn't do either of you any favors. There needs to be that, well, in whatever respect. So for me, it's an energy connection. For you, it's got to be a business understanding or, experience or whatever. For everyone, it's different. But yeah, if you don't feel you're the right fit, then it's respectful to signpost somebody on, and a great thing to be able. That's hence the networking. I've been networking now for like nearly a decade as well. And just if anyone's ever looking for anyone, I normally can just pick someone or something out of a hat, and there they are. And it's great to be a connector. Is a very valuable business thing as well. That, there's different currencies, isn't there? It's not just monetary. There's all sorts of things that build respect and trust and likability and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree. And I think, the one thing I would always say about networking and marketing, because they are similar in the respect to they're both articulating what you do and how you do it, but you can use them hand in hand. Networking is extremely good at sporadic, random bits of work you weren't expecting. Marketing, if it's done correctly, will get you work consistently. That's the point. That's the difference. In my opinion, that's the difference. And you should be doing both consistently, in my opinion. There's a lot of people who say, I'm only going to do networking, I'm only going to do marketing when I need the work. The problem is both of these two things take time to get you work. They're not suddenly going to go, and if you go to the approach of I need the work, you're never going to get the work from it, because you then come across too needy, you come across too salesy, you're not legitimately trying to care about other people's businesses and understand what they're doing and how they do it and why they do it. So then you're in a position where you're just there to see how much you can gain from that networking group, that marketing expert, whatever. So, from our sake, but also in general, let me ask you, because a lot of businesses in lockdown pulled their budgets back and stopped marketing entirely. What did you do? Did you stop? Did you continue? Did you pull your budget back? Did you think about stopping? And if so, like, what do you think is the knock-on effect if you did stop?
I did completely the opposite. I invested. Yeah, I think I realized that when I put a tongue-in-cheek invite out there at the beginning of the pandemic in March last year to say to some of my followers, I'm kind of going to do this course thing. And it was it was awful, like this little poster I made on Canva. And I was thinking like I could maybe help you clear your house out, 8 weeks, 1 room a week kind of thing. And within 24 hours, I'd filled the course. And I was like, holy crap, I got to write this thing now. I had no idea what I was doing.
I suppose I should probably have a course then, really, if I'm offering that, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. So I kind of used my one line business plan of hashtag winging it, and winged it for 8 weeks and was astounded. And then I put another one out and I thought, my God, there's a need. And it was the moment that I realized that actually, do you know what, if for me, business wise, this pandemic has been a blessing because everybody's now in their homes. They're stuck there. They're trying to work. They've got kids there, all the rest of it. Any offer of help to clear this out and create a bit of calm is going to be there. But then I thought, okay, this is scalable, but I know I can't do this on my own. So that's when I kind of handed it over. But it was more an investment in somebody else doing those quite a few separate things that I just went, if this is going to happen, I'm not going to be able to do this on my own. So yeah, I did completely the opposite, which was incredible because as I had only just got off the ground running with a particular service that I was doing, going to people's houses, And literally, I used to call it moving out to move back in. So I'd go to their house with a car full of empty boxes, go in, stay for a couple of days, help them clear out their most challenging rooms, and we would move out as if they were moving house, and then gradually move stuff in, but with intention and doing the coaching and all the rest of it. And so when they just went, oh yeah, you're on lockdown, I was just like, oh my God, this is another business that's just going to be, because it's just trying things, isn't it? And sharpening that knife and going. So to get that reaction to the course and realize that, wow, actually what I'm doing is probably needed even more now, was, yeah, an absolute blessing. And yeah, so I think even just getting to the end, we did Facebook ads. I did do as consistent as I could do videos and filled a new Instagram. I wasn't on Instagram. I said, like, I don't, you can build me an Instagram account, but I don't want anything to do with it. And then before I knew it, I was doing videos and things like this and building it up. But it's incredible. Like, as soon as you stop, like, then it just all kind of dies down, and you obviously have to go back into it. And it feels like climbing a mountain. So that consistency is always there. But yeah, I'm kind of at the point now that it's still, I think because people have had that time of reflection, like you were talking about right back at the beginning, and people are going, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? What do I want to do? Working from home is like huge, so much bigger than it was. And so the environment is really, really important as well, as is our mental health. So I'm now looking at different marketing strategies, as in the messaging and stuff. I know that this is incredible for mental health. So I've been looking at social prescribing, where doctors can actually prescribe this kind of service to people who are struggling with mental health. I know that this brings families and teenagers and parents together, because the work that we do, like, creates conversation. So I'm looking at where can I be marketing to parents and families and stuff. So now it's kind of like that thing, and realizing that, it does so much. It helps business owners, it helps mums, it helps families, it helps in so many different ways. And I think that's been one of the massive problems. I'm trying to say all of that to one audience, and perhaps now it's time to split these off.
Which is exactly what we talk about in marketing, about you don't want everyone, you want everyone that is the right tribe for you, right? And a lot of it, I mean, I'm really glad that you had a great experience with Continue Marketing, because we were saying as marketers, but I always felt a bit biased saying it because I obviously profit off marketing, right? So I am gonna say, yes, you should continue because I make money, but genuinely it's actually coming from a place of care, because the thing is, what we talk about in marketing is it's always a momentum thing. And the moment you stop, you lose all your momentum. That's it. So what normally would happen, and what we show is happening, is you're gaining momentum, you're gaining momentum, you're gaining momentum, you're gaining momentum. It's like a snowball going down a hill. We call it the snowball effect. Because when you start the snowball, it's a tiny little snowball, right? You have to push it, you have to push it, you have to push it. Eventually, it'll pick up enough snow where it rolls down the hill, and it's just getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And that's what happens with your social media, raw, etc. momentum. When you start creating content, you'll get to a point where you're so visible and you're putting out so much that as long as you keep going, like all I have to do now is keep going. That's it. That's all I have to do. I just have to keep consistent on all the strategies we're using and how we're using it, and the rest will look after itself. Because we've got to a point now with our momentum where people just know what I do. People get it. And if they don't get it, I've got thousands of videos they can watch talking about it, showing it. We're very visual. We're a video production company, which makes it very easy for us to showcase what we do. And a lot of the time I will invest, and talk about investing, I will always invest in, in most cases we'll cut the budget of a project in half so we get a marketing piece of material out of that project. I'm not in the, I'm always looking long term. I'm less likely to look at short term in respect to how much am I earning right now. It's how much can I earn and what can I get that helps the business tomorrow. What helps the business in a year, what helps the business in 6 months, what helps the business in 3 months, etc. And a lot of people say to me, oh, the economy is going to take a dip and the economy is going to get difficult and etc. But that's when you are in a position where you need to be marketing even more, and you need to be pushing even more, and you need to be showcasing your value even more, which is the key point there, because everyone wants their pounds to go further. So if you provide more value, it doesn't actually matter how much. Everyone thinks when they say that you need to be cheaper. No, you need to be more valuable. There's a massive difference. Cheap kind of implies crap, to an extent. That's why we never use the word cheap, because it implies crap. But if you're valuable, doesn't matter whether your service is £10, £100, or £1,500. If you're providing more value than the person paying. In my example where you spend £1,000 on a video, and month after month after month it gives you £500, £600 return in time, potential return. It's not physical return as in I'm giving you £600, but it's the potential time that you could then use to make £600, £700, £800. That, in my opinion, would be a very valuable video, because you've spent £1,500, £1,000, whatever it may be, but it's going to benefit you through months and months and months and months. And imagine if you were making £600 a month every month for an entire year. You pay for that video 4 times over at that point. 4 to 5 times over. So at that point, arguably, if you could know that and there's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but if you utilize the time that it gains you correctly, then it can. That's the difference. It's about, do you know how to build it into your sales side? And that's why we always talk about, we are not the people who make more money. It's our clients that make more money through leveraging what we're doing for them. That's the important part.
One of the just you saying that was, I was sort of sat there thinking, yeah, actually, like I've had some photos done with the lovely Susie Ellis, who put us in contact, and I invested in those, and as I really got the idea of brand photos and stuff, and got a package going on, and then I'm thinking about the video, and she also suggested video. I'm like, okay, yeah, and then it reminds me, and I'm sure so many business owners and solo entrepreneurs get the same, is that there is so much you can do that it's kind of overwhelming. And this is one of the things, and one of the reasons why I love helping business owners as well sort their stuff out, because what happens when you clear out all of the excess is that, you know, that magpie effect. It's like shiny new thing. The amount of unfinished, even unstarted courses that I have bought, or things that are going to help me personally, or going to help my business, or going to help my sales, because we're just bombarded with so much information, especially online, especially social media, that it's clever marketing. Like, you yourself know, you find people's pain points, they speak to you, and you go, oh yeah, I need that, and I used to be like that. And one of the things that I found, and it's just like a bit of a tip if people do find themselves doing that and have loads of shelf development stuff on their computer or on their shelf, is that I now can't be sold to. And I'm really proud of this. I do need help in certain areas of my business. I do need things around my home, but everything is with intention and thought now. And so I also acknowledge and know within my business where a few months ago I would have got quite overwhelmed just listening to you talking about the few things you were talking about then, and having a video and the rest of it totally makes sense. But so did the photographic package, the branding photos, and so did the lady who's doing my social media. And what that does to my brain is just paralyzes me and goes, I'm not going to do anything because I have no idea, and I'm going to panic about which I'm investing in and which is going to be the best return and whether it's going to work at all, and and all the rest of it. But when you've created that kind of like the clarity on where you're going and what you're trying to create, it's a much nicer place to be able to go, okay, yes, a video would be helpful, but I can sit and think about the things that I need it to do. And I can then go and find the people that I resonate with, like we were talking about earlier, rather than just be sold to with all of those incredible things. I know, bizarrely, because I don't quite know how it works, but I know, having had this conversation with you, my feed on my phone on all the different platforms will be filled with video editing and marketing adverts. Like, it just will be, because I've either connected with you or they're listening to my conversation or whatever, and previously I'd go, oh God, oh, that one's good, that one's good. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really good place if you can find clear enough out and find that clarity to go, okay, there's these things I can do, but I can't do all of them. Very rarely do many entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, have the funds to just, yeah, you do that, you do that, you do that. You have to, really work out what's best. But I like, the way that you explain things and the investment that is there. It's great, and it does make me sit and think, okay, all right, this could be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of what you're talking about there is targeted advertising, right? Like, there's a massive misconception around targeted advertising. Personally, I don't think a targeted ad is a bad thing, as long as it's actually targeted well. Because if I get a targeted ad, it probably means I want that product and that product would be valuable to me. And the only way I'm going to get introduced to that product is by a targeted ad. So I don't think it's a bad thing, personally. Everyone has a different opinion on targeted ads. Of course, I would say that as someone who makes them. So, yes, but also genuinely, I have products in my life that are absolutely invaluable as products in my life that I only know about because of a targeted advertisement. So that's the main thing there. The problem is there's a misconception with sometimes with advertising in general that we're trying to sell you stuff you don't want. The reality of the fact is, if you do everything with intent, I'll use your words, then you won't buy anything you don't want. You just won't. Simple as that, you just won't. Because you will be able to understand and be able to ask yourself, is this valuable to my business? Does this become valuable, right? Is this valuable? Is this going to help push in the direction I want to go, right? Or not? If it's not, then don't spend money on it. Exactly as you say. Every business owner, whether they're solo or whether they're a corporate, they only have a certain amount of money to spend, whether that's £100,000 a year or 10. Doesn't matter, or even more, millions. Some big corporates have millions to spend. All it changes is, but even them, they have to still justify, why are we spending £1 million here? Why are we spending £100,000 here? Why are we spending this? Because the amount of things that you can do change. Yes, of course. But they still need to be able to be valuable to the business. It's not always transactional based. And that's why we try to get away from how is you spent this much, how much have you made? Because there's so much else and it's a longer process. Marketing is so much more complicated than a transactional, you pay me £1,000, I'm going to make you £3,000. Fantastic if that's the way it worked, but that's not the reality. There's a lot of other psychology-based stuff, and actually marketing is actually more about human psychology and why people buy and human trends and understanding human beings than it is actually about what you're selling in the product. Because humans are the entity that spend money. So you need to understand how they spend money, why they spend money, what is their reasons for spending money, and why is it valuable for them to spend money. And then, because then you can understand how can you position yourself as the marketing expert, as the XYZ person that's going to help showcase your product to the right people. Because it's very possible a lot of people would say, actually, your service isn't very valuable. But what they're saying is, your service is not very valuable to me. Even if they say it's not very valuable, they're saying, I don't get it, it's not valuable to me. That's fine. They weren't necessarily the people who were going to buy from it anyway. So then it's just about finding the people who do see the value, who do understand the value. And the second you start looking at the value over the cost, then you'll start making some legwork, because you can understand there's so much more and you're always looking long term. And I always ask a business owner, are you short term or long term? Because if you're short term, it's very unlikely we're going to work with you, because they're going to want very, very, very quick results, very, very quick money back, etc. Which I can understand, but that's not practical. That's not reality. Even if I was the best person at my job ever in the world, I still wouldn't be able to guarantee that you're going to get your money back. I couldn't. Because there's other factors out of my control. I'm not the person buying your product. All I can do is give you my suggestions on how we should look to market it, and then show you how can we utilize video to do that, and then handhold you from not knowing how to do video, not being confident on video. Maybe not in your case, but in most cases it's, I don't want to be on video, this is terrifying, yada, yada, yada. Handholding you all the way through to the point where you have your desired video, you have your desired outcome, and then I hand that to you, and then you post it, and then so on. So that's the value. The value is actually, how do I help you firstly understand how video can be valuable to you, but then also how do you feel, how comfortable do you feel creating the video? Because one of the main hurdles why people don't do video, even though they've been told to a million times about why it's a good idea, is because they don't know how to get over the fear of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I found with the photography as well. I went from not wanting to be in front of the camera to having a right old laugh, and thoroughly enjoying it and liking the results at the end of it. And that's huge value in itself, even without the photos. Yet, like, even without adding them to my actual business and for the branding and the whole purpose of it, the experience and then building that confidence and stuff was just
And
huge and had a
yeah,
knock-on effect
and that
in the
only
business.
happens when you work with the right people, and that's the point, and that's the kind of, ironically, we've come full circle, which I love when we do, is why people buy from people. And that's why at the starting gate we'll say, I don't think we're the right people for you. Because if I can't get on with you and I can't gel with you and I can't get what you sell, also if I can't understand what you sell, I can't help you market it because I don't get it myself. Right? I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna market. I don't even get it. I don't even understand it. But so it's also about having the confidence to be like, actually, no, we're not the right people as well, right? As well, to say, no, you should talk to these people because they're going to be able to do what we do, but better for you because they're going to connect with you or potentially connect with you, in that respect. I mean, that's kind of everything I want to discuss today, and you may not think it's been an hour, but that's an hour. So congratulations. And what I do like to add on the end, though, is to give you an opportunity to ask me something or to throw in a topic for us to discuss for a couple of minutes, because I know I've been in interviews before and I get a question that pops into my head and I'm dying to ask it. So do you have anything you want to ask me or anything that you want to sort of top? It's very possible you don't.
I probably have loads of questions, and I'm definitely peaked with the video. And I suppose my question for you really around video and what you do and stuff. So one of the things, like I shared within that chat, is that people tend to know that they are drawn to clearing out. And so hence why these quick decluttering challenges and stuff work and they pull people in. They don't necessarily know that they need the results that are so much deeper, which is what we get on a course. And I really, really struggle to get across in short posts, in short little, 15-second stories, which do my nut in, and type and copy on the website and that actual thing. And I suppose I can't really picture a video as such, but it gives you that opportunity. I'm wondering what sort of length. It depends what it's used for, I suppose, whether it's a promo or whatever. But if that would be an ideal way to actually be able to get across that it's more, more of that message. Like I took quite a few minutes explaining it to you, but with guidance and stuff, getting it more succinct, but sharing that it's more than this and you need this. I don't know, it's a bit of a random open question, but
I mean, there's no, like, everyone asks me how long the video length is. The simple answer is it should be as long as it needs to be to get your point across. Now, that could be half an hour. That could be 90 seconds. It simply depends on how you're doing it and what you're doing. And also, why is your heart set on, I only want to do one video? Arguably. That's what I would say. I would actually say you should look at doing closer to a campaign-based video to talk about, here is exactly why, and I'm going to show you step by step why my course is valuable, how my course is valuable, but also just building up a little bit what we were talking about earlier about the value that one adds in a different conversation. Especially if we work with you on language, you'll change your entire sales strategy. You'll change your entire language that you go into a sales conversation with, because it will resonate with your ideal consumer. Because if you work with us, we'll help you understand the language which we feel is going to help resonate. And what will end up happening is you'll naturally adopt that into your sales thing. So even if you don't get any good content out of it at all, that alone is valuable. That process alone in understanding what language resonates and what language doesn't is going to be valuable either way. So it's the same with when you're doing, like, how do you showcase that it's more than just this? It's all down to language. It's all down to how you articulate yourself. And the only way we know that is by looking at it and really doing the research and really looking at, what have you done personally already that you know works? Okay, no point doing something different that already works. But then what didn't work? Okay, let's look at why didn't it work. Let's look at what were the issues. Let's look at, was it the delivery? Was it the setting? Was it how you went about it? Right? Because in most cases, there's normally a couple of things you can change, and then it might suddenly work. That's what I mean by ad spend and stuff. A lot of when we talk about, like, if you're going to do ads properly and etc., and there's not another strategy involved, like, we use ads as a brand awareness, top of the funnel, bringing people to understand the brand. But we're not planning to get any money off those ads at all. That's not the point. The point is to introduce you to my brand. That's the point. But if you're really trying to use an ad funnel, as in you're an e-commerce store, for example, and you want people to buy from your store, then you need to understand exactly how the targeting works, exactly what creative, which so the ad itself, well, that's a video, images, etc., is going to work. Then you need to understand at what frequency do you serve those ads to that target audience, and then where are they being placed as well. So all of these things, we need to find out what's known as the golden ad, e.g. the one that prints money, right? But then also, once you've done that, you then need to take what you learn and do it again, but differently. Because I could show you an ad, and if you've seen it, especially if the creative's the same, then you're just going to tune out. You're going to go, I've seen this. Right? It's why we constantly put out new videos, because then you're not in a position where you go, oh, I've seen this video. Because it's a new video. Talking about new, and that's why having new consistent content is valuable to a business, because you can reframe what you do, reframe what you talk about, and talk about it again in a different setting with different language and a different purpose, and then allow to connect to your customer again and say, here's why I'm valuable again. And what will eventually happen is you're warming them up to the concept of actually having a sales conversation with you, or actually buying your product, so in your case, your course. So where can people find you that may be interested in looking at the course, seeing some more of your work, possibly reaching out to you to just have a conversation, to see how you can help their business or vice versa, and etc. I mean, where's best to reach out and where's best to have that conversation?
Yeah, definitely. I am staying most active at the moment on Facebook, because I've got a community there called Decluttering Makes Us Happy. But you can search at The Girl Who Simplified. There's a page on Facebook, on Instagram, the same, at The Girl Who Simplified. And my website is www.thegirlwhosimplified.com. And there's details there, a bit about me, a bit about my method, and a bit about the courses and when things are starting and stuff. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Amazing. Thank you, Carlton.
So I hope you did enjoy that interview. I personally really enjoyed finding out about Tanya's business and what she does, how she does it, and why as well. So thank you ever so much for coming back and joining once again. If you did get this far and did enjoy this podcast, then make sure to be subscribed to the channel, and there'll be some new content dropping very, very soon. And yeah, we'll see you very, very soon.